Welcome to Phi Hub Research University, your ultimate guide on your next research project.
We will lay down the best practices in research ideation, literature review, experimental design, and data analysis to guide you as you carry out your research project. Learn from the Phi Hub team of research scientists and some invited subject matter experts. Phi Hub Research University will be your personal coach through every stage of your research project, from ideation to final assessment.
And the best part, it's absolutely free.
Visit us at philscihub.com and be part of this learning journey.
Let's learn and succeed together here at Phi Hub Research University. Welcome to Phi Hub Research University, your ultimate guide on your next research project.
We will lay down the best practices in research ideation, literature review, experimental design, and data analysis to guide you as you carry out your research project. Learn from the Phi Hub team of research scientists and some invited subject matter experts. Phi Hub Research University will be your personal coach through every stage of your research project, from ideation to final assessment.
And the best part, it's absolutely free.
Visit us at philscihub.com and be part of this learning journey.
Let's learn and succeed together here at Phi Hub Research University.
Mabuhay! Welcome to the Filipino Science Hub. Thank you for your continued support to this online platform. To our new participants, thank you for checking us out today, and we would like to officially welcome you to the Phi Hub family. Before we start the webinar, I would like to share some house rules in order to facilitate a smooth session. For our Zoom participants, we would appreciate it if you could turn your audio and video cameras off during the webinar. If you have questions or comments, feel free to type them on our Zoom chat box or YouTube live comments, and we will try to accommodate as much questions as possible. After the talk, we will have a 30-minute Q&A where the Zoom participants will have the opportunity to ask their questions live. For those who would like to receive a certificate of participation, a Google form link will be posted on our Zoom chat box, YouTube live comments, and YouTube video description towards the end of the webinar. Again, welcome to all our Zoom participants and YouTube live viewers. For those who are new and may not be familiar with who we are and what we do, allow me to share our mission and vision in the next few minutes. Filipino Science Hub is an online platform founded by our CEO, Filipino scientist, Dr. Jeffrey Camacho back in 2012. Currently, we are a registered nonprofit organization based in Houston, Texas, United States. Our mission is to promote STEM education and the culture of research among students and teachers in the Philippines and abroad. Our current global leadership team is comprised of volunteer Filipino scientists, seasoned STEM educators, and business executives across the globe. Our vision is to see a technology and innovation-driven Philippines, and we believe that this can be achieved by creating a new generation of well-rounded Filipino STEM enthusiasts. The vision is being carried out via our two major programs, the Phi Hub Ed program and the Phi Hub Research University. Through Phi Hub Ed, we are able to empower and support our teachers by strengthening STEM fundamentals education. We believe that this is important because the more equipped our STEM educators are, the more they can inspire students to pursue a career in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The other major program that drives our vision forward is Phi Hub Research University. This is where we provide tools for fundamentals of research and bring practicing scientists closer to the educational sector. Our official website is www.philscihub.com. This is where you can access all our materials such as webinars, tutorials, modules, virtual lab, and features, all of which are free. We are also present in several social media platforms, so follow us wherever you are most active on to get updated with our web events. Again, thank you for being with us this morning. To officially start our webinar, I would like to turn the virtual floor over to our host today.
Alright, magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat. Good morning everyone. I am Jeffrey Bugin and I am the founder of and current Chief Executive Officer of Filipino Science Hub. So, welcome to the third installment of Phi Hub's Chemistry Essential Skills webinar series. And so this is actually our last offering for this calendar year before we actually go for our Christmas holidays. And so we would also like to thank those who joined us today on Zoom and those who are tuning in via YouTube. So, as I mentioned, like in the very beginning of this webinar series, so this time around, yung approach po natin when it comes to chemistry lectures will actually not just focus on the subject matter alone, but our team had this idea of focusing on skills. So transferable skills that you can learn from um, uh, covering certain chemistry topics. So we started in our first episode with problem solving in chemistry and like how you can apply it in a number of different chemistry concepts. The second installment focus on quantitative skills and we apply those in stoichiometry. And then this time around for with Sir Chester Dabalos, we're actually going to learn about abstract thinking and how you can actually use it to understand the concept of quantum number. So this is the very first time that we're doing an event on a Friday. So we also are aware that some of you teachers and students are in the midst of your Christmas party. So we truly appreciate you joining us for today. And so at this point, without further ado, I would like to call on our speaker for today, Dr. Chester Lara Dabalos from the University of Hawaii. And so, like, by the way, as mentioned in the introductory video, we will have a 30-minute Q&A after this. So we encourage you to drop your questions on the Zoom chat box and on the YouTube live chat box, and we'll monitor them and we'll answer them, or Sir Chester will answer them during the Q&A. So, all right, Sir Chester, are you there?
Yes, so magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Salamat po sa patuloy na pagsubaybay sa mga programa ng Filipino Science Hub. This is katulad ng sinabi ni Sir Jeff, this is the third installment of our series. So ngayon, we are going to discuss a very important concept na tinuturo sa high school chem or usually sa general chemistry. So first year, first semester sa kolehiyo. So ang discussion po natin ngayon ay tungkol sa quantum numbers. So quantum numbers is, I mean, by the name itself pa lang parang nakakatakot, parang quantum, ano nga ba ito? So it is actually a very abstract concept na pinili ng team ng Phi Hub at gusto natin I would like to share, I mean, to all of the participants today how to go around, I mean, in understanding an abstract concept. So I will just be pulling my slides now, and then we are going to begin. Okay. So ito po yung title ng ating topic ngayon. So visualizing an abstract chemical concept, the four quantum numbers. Okay, pag sinabi mo kasing abstract, hindi mo nakikita. Say for example, yung concept ng kapayapaan, okay? So hindi ka talaga nakakakuha ng definite picture, pero usually, I mean, you could actually use symbolism in order to understand it. Say katulad ng si katulad ng dove, kung may peace, usually associated ito sa dove. Okay? So ang gagawin po natin ngayon is we are going to employ various models and analogies in order to understand the four quantum numbers. Okay. So ito po yung yung kadalasang challenge in teaching chemistry. Say for example, yung teacher sa biology, kung sinabi niya, this is a leaf, kukuha lang yan ng dahon, tapos ipapakita niya sa class, iwawagayway niya. And of course, I mean, the students will be very happy kasi napakadaling intindihin tong dahon na ito. On the other hand, yung chemistry teacher medyo nahihirapan yan kasi say pag sinabi ng chemistry teacher, so an orbital is where electrons lie. Okay, so isipin ng estudyante, ano nga ba tong orbital na to? Ano nga ba tong electron na to? So ang dami niyan. I mean, tipong makikita mo sa mga itsura ng mga mukha ng mga estudyante na parang natatakot na sila at gusto nang umuwi. Pero of course, kung may problem tayo, I mean, ang kailangan is bigyan natin ng lunas. So hindi naman po pwede na since mahirap, I mean, we are just going to avoid it. So ang gagawin natin is we are going to be using, you know, some illustrations in order for us to start imagining what these concepts are. Okay. So gusto ko munang ipakita tong parang isang table. So this is actually the quantum numbers in the first four energy energy levels. So kung makikita ninyo parang ano nga ba ito? I mean, is it still English or is it starting to sound Greek? So kadalasan ang aking observation as a chemistry instructor, pag nakita ito ng estudyante, parang natatakot na. Or ang gagawin nila ng estudyante is they are just going to apply route memory in order to pass the examination. Pero of course, route memory is not really the best thing. I mean, and actually I discourage it kasi ang route memory, alam lang nila during the examination. After that, wala nang nare-retain sa pinag-aralan nila. Okay, so ang gagawin natin ngayon is we are going to discuss how to understand this quantum numbers. So actually may apat, so it's going to be N. Okay, so just briefly, which is going to be your energy levels. Okay, and then yung L, okay, which is going to talk about or indicate the shape of the orbital. I mean, wag kayo gaanong matakot sa orbital. I mean, ipapaliwanag ko kung ano yan mamaya. And then yung M sub L, okay, which is going to be the spatial orientation of the orbital, and may fourth actually yung M sub S, which is the spin. Okay. So ang gagawin ko ngayon is ipapaliwanag ko ito in diagrams, and also much importantly, I'm going to use the periodic table a blank periodic table in order to actually understand this. Okay. Okay. So again, ang pag-iintindi ng chemistry ay actually nangangailangan ito ng mga models. Okay? Parang ramp model ito, pero yung model na ito parang is actually a visual aid. Okay, so we need visual aids in order to understand abstract ideas. Bibigyan ko kayo ng mga models na may encounter nyo sa chemistry. Kunwari, okay, kunwari dinidiscuss natin yung concept ng atom. Natural lang atom, hindi katulad ng dahon na nakikita mo. So yung dahon is just we see it. Okay? Pero pag sinabi mong atom, ano kaya yung atom? It's actually very small. It's actually a very powerful microscope could not sometimes, I mean, see what an atom look like. Because, I mean, hindi natin nakikita yung atom. Ang gagawin natin is we are going to construct models para magkaroon tayo ng mental picture. Okay? So, quickly, I'm going to just mention, I mean, the 5 atomic models, but our topic of interest today will be the quantum model, okay, yung pinaka-modern sa kanilang lahat. And then bibigyan ko yun ng onting introduction yung planetary model kasi yung quantum model is actually based on the planetary model. Okay, so quickly. So, say ang atom, okay, so the first model of the atom was actually by John Dalton. So, ito yung tinatawag na solid sphere model. So, parang bola lang siya. Is or sometimes this is called the billiard ball model. Okay? Sa siyensya, usually, I mean, as time goes by, may mga instruments na discover and usually this instrument actually provide some important details of a particular subject. Okay, say for example, nung na-discover yung electrons, bigla nilang ni-revise yung model in order to actually incorporate, okay, the recently discovered electrons. Kaya nagkaroon ng plum pudding model. So plum pudding, pwede nating sabihin na parang raisin bread kasi yung mga raisins, yung mga pasas ay parang yung mga electrons na naka-disperse doon sa bread, okay? So which is the atom. And then later on, nung na-discover nila yung nucleus, nagkaroon ng nuclear model. Okay? So ano nga ba yung nuclear model? So sabi nila may nucleus sa gitna ng atom is actually composed of the protons and the neutrons, and then yung mga electrons are actually circulating, okay, around the nucleus. So nuclear model yan. And then na-revise na naman ito. Naging planetary model ito by Niels Bohr. And then finally, the quantum model, okay, was actually forwarded in 1926. So the quantum model, as I mentioned, is the most modern, okay, of all of these atomic models. And makikita natin mamaya that the quantum model actually is a reflection, okay, reflection of the periodic table of elements, okay. Okay, so I will just quickly discuss the Bohr or the planetary model, and then I'm going to use the planetary model as a springboard in order to understand the quantum model. Okay, so ano nga bang sabi ni Niels Bohr? So the atom is depicted as such. So meron kang nucleus sa gitna. So nucleus is actually a very dense, okay, subcomponent of the atom. So kasi yung protons and neutrons which makes up the mass number nandun sa nakakoncentrate sa nucleus. And then there are actually concentric rings, okay? So ring 1, sabihin natin na ring 1 muna, ring 2, ring 3, ring 4, okay? So may mga tinatawag na energy levels. Actually, this Bohr model is very important in order to explain a basic, okay, absorption and emission spectra, okay? So at saka yung mga colors na rin, okay? So this is actually this is the Bohr model. Okay, ang sabi ko kanina, usually these models are, you know, of course, medyo may abstract component ito. So pag inisip mo to, ano nga ba tong concentric circles na to? I mean, it's so hard to really picture it in our mind kasi we cannot see it. Okay? So actually the Bohr model is sometimes called the planetary model kasi it's very analogous to our solar system. So kung yung iisipin kung ano nga ba tong solar system, 'di ba sa gitna meron kang sun? Okay? And then meron and then yung Mercury, right? I mean, actually revolves around the sun. So you could actually have the orbit, okay, taken by Mercury. And then afterwards, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, etc., etc. So may mga orbits, okay? So and these orbits are actually very similar to the energy level, okay? So again, yung sun is actually synonymous to the nucleus, okay? And then yung orbits actually will represent your energy level, okay? So say sabihin natin yung Mercury is 1, Venus 2, Earth is 3, then Mars is 4, and so forth and so on. Okay, so these energy levels are called orbits. Okay. Naman as teachers, I mean, it also be very nice if we are going to show something that is culturally relevant, okay, to our topic. So since energy levels, ano nga ba ang level? Isn't it ang level another word for, well, the word that we use in Filipino is baitan. So parang grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, okay? So actually we could even be creative enough and apply, okay, this to the Banawe rice terraces, okay? Hagdan pala yan. So it looks like a parang stairs, right? So, and this stairs is actually synonymous to levels. Again, this Bohr model is very important in actually explaining yung parang absorption and emission. So when you say absorption, kung meron kang electron from a lower level, okay, is actually promoted to a higher level, or yung tinatawag na excited state, then we could actually simply use this model. Okay, so the Bohr model is very important in actually explaining, okay, the spectra, okay? So pag sinabi natin spectra, so you could think about of line spectra, okay? So the line spectra of hydrogen. Okay, ano nga ba tong hydrogen na to? Kung titignan natin yung periodic table of element, this is actually the simplest, okay? The simplest element, okay? So hydrogen, okay, so it's actually a one electron system, okay? So the line spectra of hydrogen looks like this, okay? So you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 lines, okay? So anong ibig sabihin nito? So ewan ko pag if some of you have actually what we call spectroscope sa laboratory, and then kung meron tayong hydrogen lamp, pag view mo yung hydrogen lamp, actually you are going to see with the spectroscope using these 4 lines, okay? So actually this simple experiment, I mean, was able to, you know, to detect I think in the case of helium, I mean, they were able to really say that helium is present in the sun, okay? Now, the line model becomes a little bit more challenging to interpret, okay? Is a little bit more challenging to interpret for multi-electron system. Kunwari, pumunta na tayo sa neon. Okay, ano nga ba tong neon? May 10 electron na. Argon, okay, may 18 electrons na. So nakikita natin yung line spectrum biglang ang dami ng mga guhit-guhit na lines. Okay, magkakadikit na nga, yung iba magkakadikit na rin. So, pag inisip mo yung tong new disco, say for example, yung line spectrum ng neon and argon, the Bohr model is not actually sufficient, okay, to explain this. Okay? Kasi bakit? Yung energy levels ng Bohr level, may n equals 1, n equals 2, n equals 3. So bale may onting possibility lang. Pero if kung marami ka ng lines na ganito, which actually refers to different to a different number of to more number of electronic transitions, hindi na sufficient yung Bohr model. Okay, so napag-isip-isipan ng mga physicists na kailangan ng i-revise ang Bohr model. So ganun palagi sa sa siyensya. We start with a very simple model, and then madidiscover something else which is not going to maybe fit into the corresponding to the current model. So i-revise yan. Okay, so let's look at the revision of the Bohr model in order to explain this more complex line spectra. Okay, so actually yun na yung introduction ng quantum model. So makikita nyo in my next slide na hindi lang basta concentric circles, okay? Or concentric circles yung yung location ng electron. So actually there is going to be circles upon circles, okay? Okay, so maybe this is my favorite slide for today kasi katatapos pa lamang ng Miss Universe, and syempre ang mga Pinoy hot na hot sa resulta ng Miss Universe. I'll just drink for a moment. Actually, yung pambato ng Pilipinas, si Michelle D, I mean, her gown is very iconic kasi hindi siya yung parang karaniwang gown. So, the gown of Michelle D, he was actually inspired by a Filipina icon. Okay, so Apo Wang Od. So, alam niyo na, siya ay parang she is past 100 and she is the only female mambabatok. Okay, so she actually uses a technique in making tattoos, okay, that is very traditional. So parang it's just like a piece of nail tapos may ink, and then parang pinupukpuk yung skin mo. Okay, so this is actually Apo Wang Od. Okay, so we are very proud. I mean, of her as a cultural symbol, okay, inspiring the gown of Michelle D. Okay, so the reason why I thought of Apawang Odd because nakita ko some of her designs. Okay, so this is one of her designs. Okay, so this actually represents the moon. Okay, so kung titignan natin, this design is not just made up of concentric circles na katulad na nakita ninyo sa planetary model. So you would see that each circle here is actually made up of subcomponents, okay? May mga subcomponents per circle, okay? And of course, I mean, it's not going to be exactly like this. I mean, in the next model, but the idea is simply the same. So there will be subcomponents in a given component. So say for example, tong outermost ring na ito may mga subcomponents ka. Okay. So, and this is going to be the Schrödinger model, or sometimes called the quantum model. Okay. And this is going to be the basis, okay, of the periodic table. Okay. So, tignan natin kung anong itsura ng quantum model. Okay. So, ang ating, again, starting point is the Bohr model. Okay, so concentric circles lamang. Okay. So, pag yung quantum model, on the other hand, is there is going to be subshells. Okay, so medyo linawin natin yung concept ng yung terms na ginagamit natin, I mean for the quantum model. Okay, so for the Bohr model, meron kang energy levels, okay, or sometimes called orbit. Okay, the quantum model uses a different term for the energy level. Okay, they are actually referred to as shells. Okay, so kung malalaman, if you could recall, I mean your teacher, kung ine-explain niya kung bakit lumalaki yung atomic radius, okay, in a given column, okay, because there are actually there is actually more number of shells. Okay, katulad ng say for example, if you would look at your periodic table now, say bakit nga ba ang rubidium, okay, mas malaki kaysa lithium? Okay, kasi mas maraming shells ang rubidium kaysa lithium. Okay, so shells ang tawag doon sa energy level. Okay. And then what is very important, and I would say the distinguishing, okay, characteristic of these shells is that there is actually subshells, okay? So say for example, yung first energy level, meron ka lang isang component. Yung second energy level, you have actually two components, okay? So yung sinasabi ko kanina, may mga subcomponents, okay? Third energy level, you have three subcomponents, or we call them subshells. And then n equals 4, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 subshells. Pag i-invoke mo tong Schrödinger model, actually mas magkakaroon ka ng maraming transitions. Okay, say for example, okay, for this S patungo sa say sa n equals 3. So you could actually have more transitions, I mean, in the presence of subshells. So this was actually very important in explaining, okay, the more complex line spectra. Okay, so again, before I leave this slide, ang distinguishing characteristic ng quantum model or the Schrödinger model is that you have actually subcomponents in a given energy level. Okay, so there are subshells in a given shell. So shell 1, shell 2, shell 3, shell 4. Okay, shell 2 has actually 2 subshells, shell 3 has 3 subshells, and so forth and so on. Okay, so that is a very important the one of the highlights of the Schrödinger model. Okay, now I think, I mean, with that introduction, we are ready to actually discuss quantum numbers. Okay, so makikita nyo, hopefully, ang aking goal ngayon is that maiintindihan nyo tong table na to using the analogies and the periodic table that I'm going to show to you. Okay, so we are going to discuss 4 quantum numbers. Okay, so n, okay, so I will tell you now what n is actually your energy level. Okay, L, okay, is going to be your which is going to be the shape of the orbital. Okay, papaliwanag ko kung anong ibig sabihin tong mga numbers na ito mamaya. Sasabihin ko rin kung ano yung allowed numbers, okay? And then you have your M sub L, which is going to indicate the spatial orientation. And then finally, yung pang fourth is ang M sub S, which is the spin. Okay, so I'm going to discuss them now, one by one. Okay, let's start with the first quantum number. Okay, so N. Okay, this is referred to as your principal. Okay, quantum number. Okay, so principal yung boss ng mga ibang teachers diyan. Okay, so ito yung yung principal. Okay, so principal quantum number. The principal quantum number refers to the energy levels or energy levels or shells. Okay, so N. Ito yung N. Okay. So the allowed values for your N, okay, are positive integers. Okay, pag sinabing positive, you could actually call it as the counting numbers. Okay, so the allowed values will be N equals 1, yung pinakamalapit sa nucleus, followed by N equals 2, N equals 3, N equals 4. Okay, again, N is the principal quantum number. It refers to the energy levels or shells. Okay. Now, if you try to meditate upon this, I mean, noon undergrad ako, I usually just see this model. Hindi ko actually naisip na i-relate ito sa periodic table of elements. Okay? I actually just, started doing this maybe noon natapos na ako ng aking bachelor's degree. Okay? But it's actually very nice to actually relate this concept to the periodic table. Bakit? Kasi lahat ng mga classroom ng chemistry may periodic table. So if you are going to utilize the periodic table, I mean to explain a concept, then well and good. Kasi meron ka ng visual aid at your footsteps. Okay? So saan natin makikita tong N? Okay? In the periodic table, actually they are the periods in your periodic table. Okay? So nakikita natin itong period na to. So period 1, period 3, period 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth and so on. Okay? So these periods, okay, pag sinabi natin period, these are the rows, okay, ROWS, the rows in your periodic table. So row 1, okay, which is going to be period 1, row 2, period 2, row 3, period 3. Okay? Okay, so saan natin makikita tong subshells na ito? Actually, medyo i-delay ko muna yung discussion ng subshells. Okay? In a little while, babalikan natin mamaya. Ang gagawin ko muna is I'm going to discuss the concept of an orbital. Just to take note, okay, the orbital is different from an orbit. Yung orbit is actually a term for the Bohr model. The orbital, on the other hand, is actually used for the Schrödinger or the quantum model. Okay, ano nga ba tong orbital na ito? Okay, so medyo tatakutin ko kayo muna. So mathematically, okay, actually yung mga nakikita natin na parang visual representation ng mga atoms, actually it's just basically graphical. Sa katunayan, actually they are actually coming from a very complex mathematical equation. Okay, so mathematically, an orbital, okay, so these are wave functions that are the solutions to a wave equation. Okay, so nakita pa lang natin, nakakatakot na. So may halo-halong calculus na ito at differential equation. Natural, in teaching chemistry, say to Gen Chem students, hindi mo ipapakita to, kundi lahat na ng mga estudyante ay magdadrop. Okay? So clearly, a model is required. Why? Because it is very abstract. Anytime that there is something that is abstract, we are going to use a model. Okay? So how are we going to represent this orbital? Okay? So first, I mean, let us first define this. So visually, an orbital is related to the probability of finding an electron in space. So pag sinabi mong probability, okay, so pag since parang ano nga ba yung chance? Okay? So sabihin mo ano yung chance or probability na pupunta ka sa party mamaya, or kung nanliligaw ka naman, tinatanong mo sa sa nililigawan mo, ano nga ba yung probability na mag-oo ka, di ba? So probability, okay? So the orbital is related to the probability of finding an electron in space. I'm going to show you 3 orbitals here, okay? So just quickly, so this is going to be the I'm just going to use the pen, my pen first kasi mas hindi gaanong malaki yung yung ito. So oops. So yung pinaka left, this is going to be your s orbital. Okay? Yung nasa gitna is your p orbital, and then yung pangatlo is your d orbital. May pang-apat, that is the f orbital, but usually sa Gen Chem hindi na gaano dinidiscuss yung f orbital. Okay? So the orbital is actually how, ano nga ba yung probability, okay, of finding electrons in space. Okay? So actually it has something to do with the shape. Okay? Pag sinabi mong s orbital, yan parang bola. Okay? So bola, alam niyo naman kung anong bola, di ba? Okay? Ang p orbital, I mean, looks like a dumbbell. Okay? So may dalawa kang meron kang dalawang dumbbells. Okay? Okay? And then yung d orbital actually look like a clover. Okay? Parang clover chips siguro. Okay? So iba't ibang klaseng space to. And what actually distinguish them from each other is actually the nodal plane. Okay? Pag sinabi mong nodal plane, this is actually where you are not going to observe any electron. Okay? So the probability of finding electrons on the nodes, okay, or on the nodal plane is actually 0. Okay? Yung p orbital, yung nodal plane niya is actually nasa gitna. Okay? So anong ibig sabihin niyan? Wala kang matatagpuan na electron. Okay? By the way, yung shaded region, yung sa S, yung brown, yung shaded region is actually is where you could actually find the electron. Okay? Yung P naman, yung shaded region, yung green, dun ka makakita ng electron. Okay? Tapos yung D, yung purple. Okay? Yung shaded region. Okay? So every time na wala kang nahahanap, wala kang nakikitang electron, you could actually assign that as a node or a nodal plane. So yung P, okay, yung gitna, wala kang makikitang electron. So meron kang isang nodal plane for P, wala kang nodal plane sa S. Okay? Now yung D naman, meron kang dalawang nodal plane. Okay? So which is actually parang nasa gitna ng dalawang lobes. Sorry, I mean, ito pala, iniisip ko kanina, anong tawag ito? Actually, those are lobes. Okay, so in between the lobes, L-O-B-E-S, are actually your nodes or your nodal plane. Okay, so again, the orbital, ito yung region by which you are going to find electrons. Okay, and then yung nodes or nodal plane, wala kang makikitang electrons. Okay, we are going to try to relate this. We are going to relate this to the next quantum number. Okay, so the next quantum number is going to be L. Sorry. So L is actually called the angular momentum quantum number, and the angular momentum quantum number is actually will tell you the shape of the orbital. Okay. Now, yung N, kung maalala nyo kanina, yung N is actually the principal quantum number. Ang allowed numbers for N are actually positive integers or your counting numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, yung allowed values for L, okay, is actually different. Okay, so you're going to start from 0. Okay, so 0 and then hanggang N minus 1. Okay, so say for example, if your N is actually 2, okay, so ano nga ba yung L values ng L ng L values of n equals 2. So mag-uumpisa ka sa 0. Okay? And then you are going to subtract 1. So 1. Okay? So fortunately, yung 1 is already n minus 1. So 2 minus 1. So L is actually 0 and 1. Okay? Okay, so anong gagawin natin dito sa allowed values na to? So we are going to relate that to the number of nodal planes, okay? So if your L is 0, okay? So ibig sabihin wala kang nodal plane, so that's going to be your S orbital. Okay? Katulad ng bola kanina, wala ka naman nakikitang nodal plane diyan kasi bola yan. I mean lahat is already a shaded region. Okay? Okay, now if your L is equal to 1, okay? Okay, so therefore you have one nodal plane that's going to be your p orbital. So asan nga ba yung nodal plane ng p orbital? Yun, okay? Wala kang nakikitang electron dyan. L equals 2, okay? So this is going to be the d orbital, okay? Meron kang dalawang nodal planes, okay? Asan yung dalawang nodal planes ng d orbital? Ayun, okay? Wala kang electron density doon, okay? Okay, and then finally, okay, we sure don't have G. Finally, if your L is 3, okay, that's going to be your F orbital. So again, L actually is related to the number of nodal planes. So meron kang actually so anim na lobes, okay? Pero meron kang tatlong nodal planes. Okay. So SPDF. Okay, now isipin mo saan kaya natin na encounter tong SPDF na ito? Saan natin na encounter ang SPDF? Anyone from the audience? Where have you encountered SPDF? Sirit? Okay, the SPDF are actually the blocks in the periodic table. Okay, so meron kang S block, okay, the P block, the D block, and the F block. Okay, anong sabi ko sa inyo kanina? The quantum model actually mirrors, okay, the periodic table. Okay, so yung L, okay, which is the shape of the orbital, okay, allowed values is from 0 to n minus 1, okay, and the value of L is actually related to the nodal planes, okay, so tandaan natin to, kung L is 0, it's going to be S, wala kang nodal plane, L is 1, that's going to be the p orbital, L is 2, that's going to be the p orbital, and these designations, okay, are actually used in the periodic table, okay, yung blocks, okay? Makikita natin mamaya that these blocks, okay, are very important in assigning, okay, the electron configuration. Okay? May mga tanong? Wala? Kung wala kayong tanong, pwede nyong i-reserve until the very end, then I'm going to try to address it. Okay? Now, punta tayo sa next na topic. So this is called the NL notation. Okay? Ano nga ba tong NL notation na to? So basically N is your shell, tapos yung L is actually your orbital shape, or it could also mean the subshells. Okay? Balikan natin yung Schrodinger model. So again, the distinguishing mark of the Schrodinger model is you have actually subcomponents. Okay, so meron kang subshells, okay, within a shell. Okay, so again, for n equals 1, okay, maybe I'm going to try to explain this a little bit more. Let me use a different color here. Okay. Okay, so if you have n equals 1, so if you have n equals 1, okay, so ano nga ba yung L value nito? So you're going to start from 0, right? So kung meron kang L equals 0, so ibig sabihin wala kang nodal plane, so this is going to be the s orbital. Okay? So tama-tama lang, di ba? Now, if you have n equals 2, okay? So your L is going to be 0 and 1, okay? Ano nga ba tong 0 and 1 na to? So you are going to have your S and then your P, okay? So remember S, 0 nodal plane, 1, okay? You have one, kung L is equals 1, you have one nodal plane, so there's going to be the P orbital. Now let's look at your N equals 3. Okay, so your L values, this is going to be 0, 1, and 2. And that's going to correspond to your S, P, and D. So nakikita natin yan, may S, P, D. Okay? And then N equals 4. Okay? N equals 4. L is going to be 0, 1, 2, and 3. Remember, until N minus 1 lang. Okay, so this is S, P, D, and F. Okay? Now, okay lang na gamitin natin itong picture na to. Pero again, hindi naman palagi nakasulat itong picture na ito sa periodic table. So now, why don't I show you how I will be able to tell to my students ang model na ito using the periodic table. Okay. Umpisan natin. Anong sabi natin kanina, yung energy levels is actually given by your period, right? Okay. Now, umpisan natin yung n equals 1. Okay, so we could actually draw a line here, okay, representing the row. Anong letters ang nakikita nyo? S lang, di ba? I only have S here and S here. So essentially, that's just S, okay? Now, n equals 2. What letters do you see? So basically, it encompasses, okay, the S block, meron kang S dito, and the P block, right? N equals 3, okay, now medyo may complexity ito. N equals 3, okay, bababa ka ng isa. Okay. Okay, so N equals 3, you have S, P, and D. Very good, diba? So see, I mean, pag kinakita natin to sa estudyante, mas ma-absorb nila kasi you are using basically parang, how do I call this? Parang mnemonic device na yung periodic table, okay? And then N is equivalent to 4, okay? So N is equivalent to 4. N equals 4 actually. Then bababa ka dito. And meron ka pang 4 dito. So 4F. So meron kang S, okay, P, D, and F. Okay, so kaya N equals 4, meron kang S, P, D, F. Okay, so yan. So basically, ano nakikita natin, the periodic table really mirrors the quantum model. Okay, nakalimutan kong i-discuss sa inyo ano mga patong NL notation na ito. Okay, so the NL notation will be very important later on for electronic configuration. Okay, so what is this NL notation? Okay. So ang NL notation is basically N is your energy level and L is actually your type of orbital, which is also, okay, which is also the block. Okay, kunwari, meron kang 3s dito. So anong ibig sabihin ng 3s na ito? Okay? So N is equivalent to 3, and then yung S dito, L is equivalent to 0. Pag kung yung L ay 0, ibig sabihin nasa S block ka. If L is actually 1, nasa P block ka. D is kung meron kang L is equivalent to 2, nasa D block ka, and so forth and so on. Okay, again, L equals 0, nasa S block ka. Okay, L is 1, nasa P block. L is equivalent to 2, nasa D block. Okay, So that is actually how to explain the subshells or the sublevels using the periodic table of elements. Again, the period will tell you the energy level, and then the blocks will actually tell you of the subshells. Okay? May mga tanong po ba? Okay? Medyo nahihiya po kayo, okay? Or baka busy kayo sa Christmas party. I mean, kumakain siguro kayo ng spaghetti ngayon, kaya hindi kayo makapagsalita. Okay, let us move on. Okay? So, tignan naman natin tong M sub L na ito. So, M sub L na to is actually derivative of your L. Okay? And yung M, bakit tinawag ito na M? Kasi this is actually the magnetic, okay? A magnetic quantum number, okay? This is actually important in describing the spatial orientation of the orbital. Okay, pag sinabi mong spatial, okay, it means space. Papaano ito naka-orient sa three-dimensional space, okay? Ano ang allowed values ng M sub L? The allowed values for M sub L ranges from negative L papuntang 0 papuntang plus L. So bibigyan ko kayo ng example, okay? So if L is actually 0, ang M sub L mo lang ay 0. Okay? Kasi wala ka naman ng isusubtract, di ba? Walang minus 0, walang plus 0. Okay? If your L is actually 1, ano yung M sub L values mo? Okay? Yung M sub L values mo is going to be negative L. Okay? So minus 1, 0, plus 1. Okay? And then, if your L is actually 2, ano yung M sub L values mo? Okay, so it's going to be negative 2, negative 1, 0, plus 1, and plus 2. Okay, meron kang 5. Okay, so again, L equals 0, iisa lamang. Iisa lamang yung M sub L value mo. L equals 1, you have 3 M sub L values. L equals 2, you have 5 M sub L values. Okay. Now, tignan natin kung anong ibig sabihin nito. Huwag niyo munang pakialaman tong mga shapes, na nasa right. Meron akong gustong connection na ibigay sa inyo, okay? So, again, kung meron kang L equals 1, meron kang 3, right? So, bale, the number of columns, okay, will be twice the number of your M sub L values. I will explain this in a little while. Okay, so anong ibig kong sabihin dito? So, sorry, hindi ko na sana binura. Okay, so, sorry, hindi ko sana binura. So, L equals 1, so your M sub L values is going to be minus 1, 0, and 1. Okay? So, ilang klase ito? 1, 2, 3, right? So, 3. Okay? Now, L equals 1 is the p orbital. Okay? So, tignan natin, paano natin i-rate to sa periodic table. Bilangin natin, ilang columns ang nakikita natin sa p orbital? 1, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so wow, I mean that's a very neat observation kasi you have actually 3 M sub L values. Imumultiply natin by 2, actually that is the number of columns of in the P block. Okay. Patunayan natin. Kung meron kang L equals 0, so isa lang yung value mo, right? So 1 times 2, tingnan natin yung S block, 1, 2. You have 2 columns, okay? If your L is 2, there are 5 M sub L values. Okay, so 5 times 2, ilang kayang columns ang nasa D block? Okay, 5 times 2, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, you have 10 columns. Hindi ba napaka-exciting 'yon? Kasi ngayon nare-relate natin yung quantum numbers sa periodic table of elements. Okay, now, ang next na gagawin ko is ipapaliwanag ko itong mga shapes na to. I mean, so, itong p orbital, I mean, lahat naman sila is dumbbell shape. Tapos yung d orbital, okay, 4 sila is a clover shape. Yung panglima is medyo parang weird siya. So, parang p orbital na may donut. Okay? So, yung next slide na ipapaliwanag ko sa inyo is actually the spatial orientation of the orbitals. Paano natin ito makikita? Okay? So, I'm going to start looking at the p orbital. Oops. Okay? So again, sorry kung medyo inuulit-ulit ko to kasi gusto ko talagang makuha ninyo. Okay? So again, L equals 1, okay, is your p orbital. M sub L is minus 1, 0, and 1. May tatlong uri. Saan kaya galing tong tatlong uri na to? So, the way I would like you to think about this is these are actually descriptors or parang placeholder, okay? So, ano yung tatlong uri ng p orbital, okay? So, there are 3 types of p orbitals, okay? Sabi ko kanina, yung M sub L is actually talks about the spatial orientation. So basically, papaano naka-align yung orbital in space. So tatlong uri ang p orbital. So you have the px, py, and the pz. Ano naman to? Ano naman ang ibig sabihin nito? Pag sinabi mong px, okay, yung lobes are actually oriented on the x-axis. Okay? Pag sinabi mong py, the lobes are actually oriented on the y-axis. Tapos, yung PZ, the lobes are actually oriented on the z-axis. Kaya yung M sub L is spatial orientation. Hindi special, spatial, okay? Spatial orientation ng d orbital. So, depende yan yung position nila sa coordinate system. Okay? Kaya actually, makikita nyo nga tuloy ngayon na tama yung yung mathematical form kasi pag ginamit mo yung mathematical form, talagang it is going to be very specific of the position, okay? Now, tignan naman natin yung D, okay? Okay? So your D, okay? Ano nga ba yung D natin? So L is equivalent to 2, okay? So this is going to be the d orbital kasi again, there are 2 nodal planes. Yung P nga pala, isang nodal plane lang. Okay? So anong M sub L values ng L equals 2? So you have negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. Okay? Okay, so there are actually 5 types. Ano nga ba tong 5 types na to? Okay? The first is actually DXZ. Okay, anong ibig sabihin ng DXZ na to? So the lobes, okay, or the orbital are present in the XZ plane. Okay, XZ plane. So, nasa XZ plane ka. So, plane. So, parang pag humawak ka ng papel, okay, sa harapan mo, okay, sa harapan ng mukha mo, that is the XZ plane. Okay? And then, meron kang DYZ, okay? The orbitals or the lobes are actually located on the YZ plane. DXY on the XY plane. Ito medyo komplikado ito. DX squared minus Y squared. So the lobes are actually, okay, lying directly on the axis, okay, on the X and Y axis. So parang kung titignan mo yung picture, parang parang binarbecue. Okay? So yung XY plane are your skewers, okay? And then yung orbitals mo, you could think about it as a piece of meat or a hot dog, okay? And then the fifth type, okay, of the d orbital is a dz squared, okay? So basically it is lying on the z axis, okay? So may parang p orbital ka na may donut, okay? So that's actually the types of the orbitals. Kaya meron kang 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 m sub l values. I forgot to tell a while ago, bakit kaya mahalaga ang study ng mga orbitals na to? I mean, this is going to be very important later on in order to describe the chemical reactivity of your systems, okay? Any questions before I go to the next slide? So M sub L is actually the spatial, okay, orientation of your orbitals. Questions? Nahihiya po kayo? Okay. Now, hindi ba kayo nagtaka kanina, sabi ko, bakit nadodoble yung number of columns, okay? Compared to the M sub L, okay? Well, the reason is that, okay, there will be 2 electrons, okay, that could maximum of 2 electrons could fit a given orbital. So, anong ibig kong sabihin yan? Say for example, yung px, okay, orbital, okay, it could actually hold 2 electrons, okay? Yung dz squared, it could actually hold 2 electrons as well, okay? So that's the reason why, okay, yung number of columns are actually times 2, okay, twice, okay, it's always be pairs, okay? So here is another orientation, representation. So sub-level, okay, sub-level S, okay, you're going to have 0 orbital. Why? Kasi iisang value lang yung M sub L mo. So you could actually think about this as the number of M sub L values. Okay. Maximum electrons per subshell. So 1 times 2. So dalawang electrons. Okay. So for your S orbital, you have 1, 2. Okay. So for your P subshell, okay, you have 3 types of orbitals. Bakit? -1, 0, 1. And that corresponds to Px, Py, and Pz. Okay? Now, tatlong uri times 2, so you're going to have 6. Bilangin natin, ilang columns? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Anim nga naman talaga. Okay? Now, D, okay? Maybe hanggang D lang tayo. I mean, masyado nang marami yung F. Okay? So, yung D, so D is actually L equals 2. So your M sub L value is -1, -1, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So 5. Okay? 5 times 2, 10. Pilayin natin kung 10 nga talaga. Puntay sa D block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 nga naman talaga, di ba? O di ba ang ganda-ganda? I mean, pag itinuro natin to sa mga estudyante, you don't need really to memorize that table. Okay, you just simply look at the periodic table of elements. Okay, so that's actually the best mnemonic device that I could actually offer to you. Okay. Okay. Now, ano kayong significance ng 2 electrons na ito? Well, I mean, that's actually found on the 4th quantum number, M sub S. This is actually the magnetic spin. Okay, M kasi magnetic, spin quantum number. Okay, this has something to do with the electron spin. Okay, so ano yung allowed values ng spin? So the allowed values is +1/2 and -1/2. Okay. So, anong ibig sabihin nito? So, ang electron actually is, well, is very light, almost negligible yung mass niya, okay? However, I mean, if you subject an electron, I mean, in a external magnetic field, okay? Actually, there will be two possible types of spin, okay? So you could have actually plus 1/2, okay? Pag sinabi mong plus 1/2, okay? Oops, sorry. Nag-jump. Okay, pag sinabi mong plus 1/2, okay, that electron actually spins in a clockwise manner. Okay. On the other hand, if the ms is negative 1/2, that spin actually spins on the counterclockwise manner. Okay, so actually mahalaga itong opposite spins para hindi magbungguan yung electron. Okay, because electrons are actually both negatively charged. Eh, ano na lang mangyayari pag parehas yung direction nila, magbubungguan talaga sila. It's actually very important. Okay? And yung concept ng columns in the block are multiples of 2. It actually basically represent it in this manner. Say helium, okay? So helium has 2 electrons in its 1s, okay? 1s orbital. So the way we actually represent, okay, plus 1/2 is an arrow going up and negative 1/2 an arrow going down. So ayun, opposite yung spin nila, okay? Boron, okay? Boron is actually, okay, so the 1s is populated, and then meron kang two electrons in your 2s and 1 electron on your 2p, okay? So ayun, nakikita mo yung electron spin sa designation na ito, okay? Okay, malapit na tayong matapos. I would like to, napaka-mathematical talaga tong field na to. So I'm going to actually teach you some formula in order to actually understand this further. Here are the important relations, okay? There will always be 2L plus 1 orbital types, okay? So pwede nating substitute yung value ng L. Kunwari, L is 1, okay, which is actually the p orbital. Okay, so L is 1, so 1 times 2 is 2 plus 1, 3. So therefore, there will be three types of p orbitals. Okay, so which is px, py, and pz, which you could actually designate with m sub l values negative 1, 0, and 1. Okay, I will give you another example. Kunwari, paano naman kung meron kang L equals 2? Okay, L equals 2, which is your d orbital. Okay, so 2L plus 1. So 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1. So you are going to have 5. Okay, so there will be 5 d orbitals. Okay. Okay. What are, paano naman yung maximum number of orbitals, okay, for an energy level, okay? Well, pwede nating bilangin ito mano-mano, pero is also the same as n squared, okay? Ipapakita ko muna sa inyo yung mano-mano, tapos ng ganyan, tignan natin if it's going to match with the formula n squared, okay? So if example, meron kang n equals 2, okay? Okay, so n equals 2. Yun, in-circlean ko na. Okay? So, ilang uri ng S? 1. Ilang uri ang P? 3. Okay? So, what is 1 plus 3? This is actually 4. Now, is 4 the same as 2 squared? Yes, it is. Okay? Now, tignan natin yung n equals 3. N equals 3, you are going to have S, P, D. So that's going to be 1 plus 3 plus 5. Diba? So anong sum nito? 9. The same nga ba pag in-n squared mo? So n squared is 3 squared the same as 9? Yes, it is. Syempre. Okay, so one last insight. We could write it actually as the sum of odd numbers. 1, 3, 5, 7. Tignan nyo ito. 1. Just 1 squared. Okay. If n equals 2, that's 1 and 3. That's 4. Okay. Now, 135, that's actually 9. 1357, that's actually 16, okay, which is actually 4 raised to the second. Okay? Okay. Don't worry, malapit na tayong matapos. Okay? And then, ano nga ba tong, of course, alam nyo na that there are maximum of 2 electrons per orbital. Okay? So, imumultiply lamang yan by 2. Okay? Now, pag gusto natin malaman yung maximum number of electrons for an energy level, so this is actually a consequence of, okay, bullet number 2 and 3. Okay? So, meron kang n squared, and then maximum of 2 electrons, so 2n squared. Okay? So, basically, it's actually a consequence of the second and the third bullet points. Okay, so pag sinabi ko, what is the maximum number of electrons that is able to be accommodated in n equals 2? Okay, so basically 2n squared. Okay, so this is 2 times 2 raised to the second. So you are going to have 8 electrons. Okay, and actually that is actually the basis of the octet. Okay. So actually, maganda talaga ito. I mean, tong topic na to. Medyo abstract nga lang. Pero if you actually use these models and these mathematical representations, mabilis tong makuha ng mga estudyante. Okay. Okay, now magkakaroon naman, let us actually review the concept, and then I'm going to have some problems, and then finally we can have our Q&A. Okay, so again, what are the 4 quantum numbers? It's L, N, L, M sub L, and M sub S. Okay, so saan natin makikita yung N? Dapat nga recitation na ito. Saan natin makikita yung N? Anyone? Yung N, nakikita natin doon sa period. Okay? Yung L is basically the value of the number of the nodal planes. Okay? And we are going to actually see it from the blocks. Okay? So S is L equals 0. Okay? S block, P block, D block, and then F block. Okay? And yung M sub L, okay, is actually the number of columns, okay, divided by 2. So say, for example, yung P, so you have 6 divided by 2. So you have 3 types of P orbitals. And then finally, bakit nadodoble ito? They always come in multiples of 2. That's actually due to MS. So you can have actually 2 electrons maximum per given orbital. Okay. Now punta tayo sa sa applications, okay? So anong applications ng napag-aralan natin na say the periodic table and the quantum numbers? So this is actually very important in assigning electronic configurations. And electronic configurations are very important to explain chemical reactivity. Okay? Ano yung usual na tinuturo ng mga teachers sa high school to write electronic configuration? Nung nag-aaral ako, they usually teach this, okay? They usually teach this diagram. Okay? So depende na lang kung anong una. So you're going to start here, and then you're going to end, depende kung ilang electrons meron ka. Well, there's nothing wrong about this, but I would like that you are going to have a new paradigm in teaching how to write electronic configuration. Again, sabi ko kanina, yung periodic table is present in all chemistry classrooms. So bakit hindi mo na lang gamitin yung periodic table? So the electronic configuration, okay, is actually based on the NL system. Anong ibig kong sabihin? Okay. Say for example, isulat natin yung electronic configuration ng zinc. Okay, nilagyan ko ng malaking itim na dot dito. This is the placement of zinc. So what I would like to do is I simply, okay, I simply traverse, okay, the periods across the blocks. Okay, anong ibig mong sabihin? Okay, so I'm going to start, okay, period 1, so it's going to be n equals 1, okay? So on the s orbital, okay? So this is going to be simply 1s2, okay? So your n is 1, your L is 0, okay? Now, but you have 2 electrons. Next, okay? 2s2, 2p6, okay? 3s2, 3p6, okay? 4s2, 4s2, and then pag pumapasok ka sa D block, n is minus 1 for the D block. Okay, so this is going to be 3D, not 4D. Okay, so period number. So 4 minus 1, so that's 3, and then 3D. Okay, so 3D10. Okay, so that's actually how to write the electronic configuration. Kung actually titignan natin tong off-bow principle, tong build-up principle na to, off-bow in German, actually it's going to reflect the periodic table din. Kasi tignan mo, buburahin ko to. Okay? So 1s, 2s, okay? 2p, 3s, and so forth and so on. So, well, I mean, writing this actually, I mean, is an extra effort. So my suggestion is use the periodic table, okay? Then one last thing before I go to my problems, I would like to actually interpret the electronic configuration in terms of the quantum numbers. Syempre, I mean, kailangan i-connect na natin yung topics na yon, okay? Okay? So, from the previous slide, we have actually written the electronic configuration. Now we are going to dissect, okay, the electronic configuration using the quantum numbers, okay? So ang ginawa ko dito, I mean, ni-rearrange ko. So yung 4s2 3d10, binaliktad ko lang, okay? And then I actually colored them, okay? So 1s2, so it tells you that in the first energy level, you have an s orbital. Okay? So, naka-yellow yun. Then, second energy level, n equals 2. So, you have 2 types. Okay? So, S and P. Tignan natin yung illustration, yung model ni Schrodinger. Right? N equals 2, may SP. Ako, ang ganda-ganda, di ba? Okay? Tapos, pag gusto natin malaman yung yung M sub L values, okay, -1, 0, 1, kasi yung L is 1, that's actually a PX, PY, and PZ. Ayan, PX, PY, and PZ. And then the maximum number of orbitals, okay? The maximum number of electrons per orbital is 2. Okay? And then, N equals 3. Meron kang S, P, and D. Tama nga ba? Yes. Okay? And then, kung gusto nating i-expand ito, say for example, just looking at yung D, okay, bakit nga ba D10 ito? Okay, because M sub L, okay, for L, is, the M sub L for L equals to are -1, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 orbitals, okay? Ayan, yung mga limang uri ng d orbitals. Okay? 5 uri times 2. So basically, it's basically 10. Okay? So, and then, the spin is actually manifested by the electron pairs. Okay? Kaya nakita natin bakit, I mean, by multiples of 2 ito. Okay? Siyempre, pag binigyan ko kayo ng odd, okay, ng odd electron species, kunwari gallium, okay, so 31. So of course, I mean, meron kang isang remainder sa huli. Okay? Okay, malapit nang matapos. Okay? Nasa problems na tayo ngayon. Okay, so Kung sinong gustong mag-recite, dapat nagre-recite na kayo ngayon. O hindi po may Christmas party yung mga teachers na mahilig mag-recite noon. Okay? So problem 1, okay, which of the following sets of quantum number are not allowed? Okay. So mayroon kang dalawang strategy dito. Pwedeng i-solve mo ito ng mano-mano or tignan mo yung chart. Pero ang gagawin ko, i-solve ko ng mano-mano and then we are going to let the chart, okay, prove our point. Okay? So umpisa na natin. Okay? I'll use red, okay? So yung una. So n equals 3, okay? Ano nga ba yung values ng L natin? So you have to remember that, okay, so you start from 0 and then you continually subtract, you're going to subtract 1 with L, yun yung pinakahuli, so there's going to be 2 and then meron kang 1 dito. Right? And anong M sub, okay, so mukhang tama itong N equals 3 and L equals 2. M sub L is 2. Tama nga ba? Yes. So if your L is 2, okay, so meron kang M sub L values of -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So this is allowed. Okay. Now, yung next. So n equals 4. Next, I would like bigyan natin ng ibang kulay to. So n equals 4. Ano yung L values natin? 0, 1, 2, and 3, right? Now, ano yung M sub L natin? 4. Pwede ka ba magkaroon ng M sub L? 4? Hindi, kasi ang maximum lamang ng M sub L mo is actually 3. So, bale, this is going to be -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. So, hindi ka po pwedeng magkaroon ng quantum numbers na using that set. Okay? And kung gusto nating, kung ayaw mong maniwala sa akin ngayon, punta tayo sa, let's use the chart. So, n equals 4. L is 3. Okay? Now, can you see a value of 4 in the set that I encircled? Wala. Okay? So, mano-mano at saka yung chart tells you that the B set, is not allowed. Now, let's go to the last one. N equals 2. Okay? So, your L is going to be 0 and 1. Okay? And so this is correct. Okay? M sub L0, yes, it is fine. Okay? So, this is allowed. Okay? So again, kung pwedeng mano-mano, and I could maybe just use the chart in order to verify my answer. Okay. Second problem. Okay. How many maximum orbitals, okay, in an atom can have n equals 4? Okay. Ilang uring orbitals? Okay. Okay, so you could actually draw the Schrodinger model, okay? So n equals 4, okay? So ilang orbitals daw? Okay, so you could actually, okay, so how do we solve this? So n equals 4 lang, okay? Walang labis, walang kulang. So n equals 4. Okay, so you have your S, P, D, and F. Ilang klaseng orbitals ang S? Isa. Ang P, 3. Ang D, 5. Ang F, 7. Okay, so let's add 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7, 16 orbitals. Another way to do this is actually using the important relations that I showed you, okay? So you could actually have n squared, okay? So substitute lamang yung value ng n, so 4 squared is going to be 16, okay? So another thing na gusto kong i-emphasize if you are asking your students to teach this one, dapat meron kayong iba-ibang methods and see, if these methods actually match up, okay? And then the last problem that I have, okay? So give the maximum number of electrons in sorry, my typo. In an atom that can have the quantum numbers n equals 3 and L is equivalent to 2. Okay, so hint, the NL notation. Ano nga ba itong NL notation na to? Okay, so NL, okay, so ang L equals 2, so there are two nodal planes, so that's actually the d orbitals. Okay, so basically this is a 3D. Okay, so ilan daw yung maximum electrons doon sa 3D. Okay, so ang 3D, okay, so basically you have 5 types of orbitals for a D, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 5, now there are maximum of 2 electrons per orbital, so 5 times 2, so you have 10 electrons that could maximally accommodate in a 3D orbital. Okay. Okay, so I think, yun na. So ang pinakahuli kong gustong sabihin sa inyo, wag lang ipamemorya. With this analogies and mathematical explanations, we could actually truly explain this concept to our students. Okay? So, may mga katanungan po ba?
All right. Thank you so much, Sir Chester. So to all the students who are actually in the session right now, ako, teacher ko si Sir Chester, and the way he and his mentor in UP taught him how to really teach organic chemistry, specifically properties of molecules and how they react, how they form bonds, geometries around essential atoms in those compounds. Those are actually all based on a good understanding of quantum chemistry. So for example, if you're looking at methane, which is a tetrahedral structure, so para maintindihan nyo bakit tetrahedral yung structure niya, that actually is founded on your understanding of how orbitals are oriented in space.
Tama.
So yun
Tama.
yun. So if you are someone who in the future would pursue, say, specialization in chemistry, a solid understanding of quantum chemistry is needed. So you will not be able to get away with just merely memorizing all these concepts, because to Sir Chester's point, ang problema kasi doon, mamamemorya mo nga and you'll be able to answer the questions during the exam, but then your retention is actually not going to be there. So if you, and we're actually very fortunate to have Dr. Chester Dabalos teach you all of these tricks, mainly because this is the only way by which you can learn these concepts by heart. So you, and that will really set you apart, because like learning these concepts by heart make that skill transferable. Yeah, so paano mo ba i-imagine nyo? Bakit nga ba ganun yung p orbital? Bakit tatlo yung p orbital? So kung alam nyo kung paano sila i-arrange in space, that's why we talk about abstract thinking here. Maiisip nyo na, ay okay, kahit para-para sila ng shape, hindi naman sila nagpupukan. Ay, sabi nga na Sir Chester, hindi nagbubungguan yung electrons kasi your px orbital nasa x-axis. Yung y orbital mo naka-cross ng ganyan. And then yung z orbital mo nakaganyan. So, hindi din talaga sila nag-overlap in space. So, yung mga gantong konsepto are really very important. Ayan. So, any more to add, Sir Chester, or while we're waiting for people to ask questions?
May mga katanungan po ba? Wag,
Yeah.
baka ang tanong niyo sa akin yung gown ni Michelle D, ha?
Ayan. But it was actually truly refreshing to get reminded of all of these. Like in my case, like I'm also a chemist, but for the past years, I haven't really been in, like tackling much of these super fundamental concepts. So it's always refreshing to hear the stories behind the discovery of the structure of an atom and how all those models evolve. So kung napansin nyo, from yung planetary model, it has evolved into the quantum mechanical model, which is truly very impressive. So yun. So Sir Chester,
Yes.
you specialized in biophysical chemistry. So, 'di ba? Pinapakiho niya po 'yon. So may biology, may physics at saka may chemistry yung specialization niya. So, siguro po bilang scientist, like if you would really specializing in such an area, gaano po ka-importante yung understanding ng orbital sa ginagawa niyo?
Actually, the question is more applicable kay Sir Jeff kasi kay Sir Jeff is actually Sir Jeff is an organometallic chemist, and yung interaction talaga ng orbitals will tell you kung magre-react nga ba sila o hindi. So, it's actually very important in predicting the outcome of reactions. So,
So kung
it's
if I may add, so kung mapapansin nyo, di ba, karamihan ng examples na nakikita nyo sa books, either mostly, sa organic chemistry, it's just like a bond between carbon and other non-metallic elements, right? So main group, siguro for the most part, yung organometallic chemistry is you have metals forming bonds with carbons. So if you can imagine yung S and P orbitals ng carbon bonding with potentially a d orbital or an f orbital. So paano nyo i-imagine yun? So kung hindi nyo naiintindihan yung itsura at saka orientation in space of all of these orbitals, mahirap rin na-explain bakit ganun yung structure or bakit ganun yung property, bakit yung bonds relatively weaker in certain molecules. So kapag naiintindihan niyo yung kaya weak yung bond, kaya longer yung bond is because yung valence orbital no nasa third shell or nasa second shell, whereas yung magbaband sa kanya na carbon nasa anong shell yung kanyang valence orbital. So again, itong pininta sa inyo ni Sir Chester was he was showing you how yung electrons of an atom are arranged in space. So aside from reactivity as well, bakit ba electronegative itong oxygen? So kung naiintindihan nyo kung paano yung arrangement ng electrons in space, there is a lot of concepts that you'll be able to explain and you will not even have to memorize. Ayan. Mukhang wala silang masyadong tanong. So assume natin na intindihan nila, but it's actually very clear, and what I truly appreciate about what you did, Sir Chester, was that you really unpacked all of those concepts with so much patience and rigor, and also yung analogies mo. So those are really very important. So for some of you who may still be consuming like the content, this webinar is actually uploaded on YouTube, so you can always go back and review it. But then, yeah, we truly appreciate like you staying with us. So, Sir Chester, any siguro tips sa mga students natin who are about to take up like quantum chemistry as a topic, or even like sa teachers natin na paano ko ba talaga ituturo to na hindi lang yung typical memorization?
Yeah, so yung pinakita ko kanina, I mean, it was a realization that I made na, yung mga SPDF pala, hindi ba po, ito naman natatagpuan sa periodic table. So actually, that's actually how I teach now. So, pero yung pinakita ko sa inyo is just basically the visual representation. Ang katunayan yan is nakakakilabot talaga. I mean, yung mathematical formulation ng mga system na ito. So, the only thing that maybe we could teach sa Gen Chem is yung mga shapes, mga itsura. Pero for a very serious students, I mean, you really need some.
You just reminded me of my quantum chemistry course in UP. So, para po mag-plot kami ng p orbital, it really required integrals.
Diba? Yes, kailangan ng integrals.
Yeah, so minsan po yung solution namin doon sa isang problem ay dalawang back-to-back na sheet ng yellow paper, i-integrate mo yon, and then minsan may mga problems when it comes to quantum chemistry na sa haba-haba ng solution mo, tas ang sagot lang is either 0 or 1.
Yes,
So,
that's
so, pero for you to be able to grasp siguro more complex concepts in chemistry, more specifically quantum chemistry, you have to have a solid understanding of the fundamentals. You have to paint a picture of yung structure ng atom. Kasi kung wala kayo nung basic understanding nun, when you go to higher chemistry, actually binabaklas yan, tapos marirealize mo, ay, oversimplified pala minsan yung ibang mga concepts. So, paano mo bababaliin din yun? So, ayun. So, we truly encourage for you to siguro review this material kasi this is always a topic na dreaded ng chemistry education community kasi hindi talaga siya ganun kadaling ituro. Mahirap din siyang i-imagine given that abstract talaga. Yung paano ko ba i-imagine yung electron density, yung parang probability. Paano ko ba yun i-conceptualize? How do I even measure that? So we do understand the reason why minimemorya na lang siya is hindi siya madali. But if you develop or if you hone your abstract thinking skills, you'll reach a point where you just flip the structure of the atom or of the molecules in your head and you'll know, okay, like paano ba ito magre-react? So you don't even have to draw things. So, and abstract thinking is also a very good way of enhancing your creativity. Ayan. All right. Sir Chester, maraming salamat po ulit sa pagsama sa amin, and to all of you who tuned in today sa Zoom at saka sa YouTube. Medyo nasagasaan namin yung schedule niyo ng Christmas party, but like again, we truly appreciate it. We wish you all the best of the holiday season. We hope na makapagpahinga din po kayo. Enjoy niyo inyong panahon kasama inyong mga pamilya, and we have a bunch of programs lined up and planned for 2024. So just keep checking our social media platforms for announcements. This is not going to be the last. There's a lot of chemistry essential skills topics that we will cover next year. Yung dates, pag-uusapan na pa namin ni Sir Chester. But then during your holiday break, you can actually rewatch yung first 3 episodes para ma-refresh kayo on problem solving in chemistry, quantitative skills, and how you can apply it in stoichiometry. And then, of course, i-reconsume nyo yung concept of quantum numbers and how you can actually better understand it or better teach it through abstract thinking. All right? So at this point, we'd like to thank you all. Kuya Chester, thank you so much.
Oh, I mean,
We'll
it's
talk
my
again very
pleasure.
soon. And we hope everyone, again, like we wish you all a very Merry Christmas. And yeah, we'll see you again next year. Thank you so much. Have a
See
good one.
you.
Thank you, Kuya. Bye.